Busy Sunday, so I want to motor through this report. I've got 3 free selections coming your way in just a moment. Of course, with the free picks, I'm on a 20-11 roll, cashing in with 9 out of 13 since Monday. And of course, Monday, I gave you a 2-0 sweep in the NFL, giving you both winners with the Chargers and the Lions. Those 3 picks coming up in just a moment. I also want to talk about my loser yesterday on Texas A&M. But first, guys, last Sunday, and probably every single first Sunday of the season for a number of years, I've always voiced the same opinion, that generally speaking, favorites are the way to go in week number 1. And then when the odds makers adjust the lines and they become much sharper and there's overreactions by both the odds makers and the general public, dogs seemingly are the way to go in week number 2. But maybe that script isn't the way to go this year, because last week, as you well know, the underdogs just had a field day, going 11-5 against the spread. Now, guys, only 2 things happen when underdogs win at that percentage, especially first time out of the gate. Number 1, sports books and bookmakers are making a ton of money because the gambling public's general inclination is always to side with the favorites. And number 2, gamblers are unfortunately losing their shirts, just like handicappers as well. Of course, I shouldn't really point at me because I was one of the few guys to actually win last Sunday here at the site. But you look at what happened last week, 11-5, the underdogs. 7 of those puppies went outright. You look at the 5 teams that actually were favorites at cover. Okay, the defending Super Bowl champions, Seahawks, dominating effort. We certainly understand that. San Francisco, a severely underpriced favorite because people really thought Dallas had something to offer. And the 49ers, despite missing half their defense, managed to get the job done with a comfortable road cover. You had Houston, a team that had lost 147 games in a row, a home favorite against Washington, and they won the game and get the cover, right? Who figured? You had the Detroit Lions, a team that, well, if they were any good last year, Jim Caldwell wouldn't be their rookie head coach this year, right? They have a blowout win. And then, of course, you had my best bet last Sunday, Philadelphia. Yes, the Eagles, the Super Bowl-bound Eagles, maybe not after dropping down 17-0 early, and then, of course, reeling off 34 unanswered points as a 10.5-point favorite, and getting me the cover as a 30-dime play, only the 12th in my career in terms of 30-dime releases in the NFL, which I'm now 9-3, thanks to a 315-pound defensive lineman with a fumble recovery rumbling, and I mean rumbling. I was worried that he was going to fall down and just run out of gas, and he was only running 17 yards to the end zone, clear open field, to get me the touchdown for the cover. So it was a wacky week number 1. So perhaps, like I said, the script is reversed here for week number 2. And I think it was Steve Young I heard on PTI earlier this week saying about how, the first couple weeks of the NFL regular season is still like the preseason, as these teams are still getting their acts together, which makes me wonder, because he's not the first guy to voice that opinion, but it makes me wonder, you've got 4 preseason games. If your coaching staffs, almost unanimously across the board, play the starters for a series in week number 1, play the starters for 2 series or maybe a quarter in week number 2, play the starters maybe for a half in week number 3, and then rest all the starters in game number 4, well, what more do you want? If you're complaining about your team and you're the coach and you're the general manager and you're the fans as well, that your team looked pathetic in week number 1 and maybe even week number 2, they were sloppy, they didn't really have that chemistry, they were disorganized on the field, well, maybe the coaches ought to look in the mirrors and say, hey, it's on us, because those meaningless preseason games, we devalued them even more by making them more meaningless. Just a thought. Okay, guys, now let's talk about the Texas A&M game yesterday. Well, hey, look, there are no guarantees in gambling, and I was bound to lose sooner or later, and I don't mean to be cavalier about it, but listen, if you got or really thought that I'd be on here crying and moaning and bitching about losing the game, you are sorely mistaken. I laid it all out for you yesterday. You know what I had done over the previous 3.5 weeks. You know the incredible winning streak I was on, and I told you yesterday, if you had been with me, well, you were playing with somebody else's money just like I was. And if you weren't, then you had to play that play wisely. Well, listen, I took a monster favorite, and for the first time this year, that monster favorite did not pay off. And you know what? I have still won 18 out of 24 days. I have still gone on a 9-3 football run over the past 3 weeks. And here's the amazing thing. Maybe the gambling gods, this was my comeuppance because last week I got the miracle of all miracle covers with the Eagles. And then yesterday, listen, Texas A&M just dominated that game. They had time of possession advantage of I think they had the ball for 44 minutes in that contest. But unfortunately, they just couldn't finish off drives by getting in the end zone, whether it be by a field goal or by a touchdown. They just couldn't get the points on the board. Now, listen, I knew what the weather report was going into College Station in that game. I knew the rain was going to stop by 11 o'clock in the morning. I knew the field wasn't going to be great. I did not expect it to look like the gopher from Caddyshack attacked it, okay? When you see 10 guys out there in the third quarter scrambling around replacing divots, it makes you really, I don't know, what's the word, yearn for artificial turf. I mean, it was a pathetic field. But the fact is I lost the game. And here's the deal, though. In that 24-day stretch where I've won 18 out of 24 days, my 5 dime plays, which were all in the NFL, I hit 3 out of 4. 10 dime releases, of which you got 9 of them at discounted prices, I hit 12 out of 16. 15 dime plays, normally my top-rated best bet, I went 2-0. In the 30 dime plays, I split. And guess what, guys? I am not a guy who celebrates the wins, nor do I lament the losses. I believe that you've got to stay even keel, and I believe that those that do and go up and go down on the elevator of the gambling life, they miss the next money-making opportunity right there in front of them. And for me, it's a 15-dime play, which is my normal best bet because 5 and 15 dimes, that range, 99% of my plays fall into. And today I've got a 15-dime play, my blowout of the month in the NFL. I'm 68, 48, and 6 with those plays over the past 6 seasons, including 17, 7, and 3 a year ago. It's even stronger than the 10-dime winner I had on the Ravens the other night. So I look at it this way. I'm going to get half of that loss from yesterday right back today. But let's talk about some other handicappers here. People always like to write in the customer service and say, well, who have been the hottest, most consistent handicappers in football? Well, the problem with that question is it's kind of a question that I can't really answer to you fairly in most cases because just because a guy was hot a year ago doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be hot this year. It's 50-50 as to whether I'll have a winning season again this year. But the flip side of that equation is you look for guys who have produced consistently over the long haul. And no ifs, ands, or buts. The winningest football handicapper at this site over the past 4.5 years is Shawn Michaels. And who happens to also be the winningest handicapper in all sports at this site over the past 16 months? It is Shawn Michaels. And today is going for winning day number 111 out of 181, his 100-dime cheap chalk game of the year. 48, 22, and 2 with NFL 100-dime releases over the past 4+ seasons. 48, 22, and 2. And with these 100-dime max wager releases, of which you just got one, for $39, a savings of $60 off the regular price on Friday when he gave you the Baylor Bears in the first half in a blowout first half win and ultimately a blowout win in the game at Buffalo. That was a 100-dime play. This play is just as strong. And keep in mind, in football, college and pro combined, this is the number you really have to consider. $10 bettors have made $29,990 over the past 5 years. $29,990. Today is 100-dime cheap chalk game of the year. Well, I saw that play release and I thought, guess what, guys? Ding, ding, ding. It's the half-price play of the day. Now, you may think I'm crazy doing this because I'm a capitalist. I mean, I believe in making money. I believe in Shawn Michaels having a chance to make money. But at the same time, as I tell you, the recurring theme here is I believe you don't have to spend big money to make big money. And when I'm giving you discounted plays, I'm not giving you guys that have lost 17 out of 18 days. I'm giving you the biggest plays of the hottest handicappers. Go find that somewhere else. Christ almighty, if Shawn Michaels was on an 800 service with a phone room operation operated out of New York, they'd be banging your credit card for a minimum of $500 today. Minimum. After sucking you in for $250 to get into the service too. You know that deal, right? So here's the deal. You can get them as the half price play of the day simply by using coupon code. Are you ready? It's a pretty original coupon. HALF. H-A-L-F. Another relatively hot guy. How about Anthony Red? 7 straight winning days, 7 straight football winners. 3-0 sweep yesterday with his 40-dime college football trifecta, cashing in with, let's see, Missouri, which I gave you as a free pick as well, and a route. Rutgers getting the half-point cover against Penn State, and Virginia outright over Louisville. Today, 60-dime opening NFL total of the year. He says this game is the easiest under on the entire card, bigger than the 50-dime total winner you got on Baylor Buffalo over by a zillion points on Friday for $9. And you get it today. Save $85 off the regular price. The coupon code is RED14, R-E-D-D, and the number 14. Jeff Benton's the $5 play of the day. That's available on the homepage. You can get all the details. One other guy I want to mention, two guys real quickly before I get to the free selections. First of all, Steve Buden's #1 college football crew last year and 3 of the past 5 seasons, the Cali Cartel. You got their winner yesterday. They had a game in triple revenge where they anticipated a 4-touchdown rout. How about Marshall minus 21 points at home in triple revenge over Ohio? 44-14. Better than a 4-touchdown rout, right? Today, his #1 NFL crew, the past 5 years, the Baltimore crew, 50-dime winner number 37 out of 58. Road Warrior Game of the Year, part number 2. Part number 1 was San Fran at Dallas last Sunday. And you save $69, which means you get it for just $30 by using coupon code SB for Steve Buden, SB30, SB30. Also, I just want to quickly mention, I don't know what the play is called today, but I know Craig Davis is coming out with another 100-dime max wager play in the NFL. Now, he had one last Sunday in the NFL. It was his opening dog shocker of the year. Dolphins plus 3.5 upsetting the Patriots. He's 4-0 in the NFL. 4-0 in the NFL. He's won 10 out of 11 days. Yesterday, 50-dime winner number 7 out of 8. Iowa State outright over Iowa. Friday, it was a 20-dime winner on Cincinnati. He had the Ravens over the Steelers on Thursday. $10 bettors have won over $4,300 the past 11 days. $10 bettors in the NFL have won over $11,000 since the 2011 season. He is another guy that is one of the most consistent NFL handicappers here at the site. Are you surprised? This is the guy who used to be president of fantasyfootball.com. Consistent winner, Brad Wilton, although in a horrific slump. I don't pull any punches here, guys, in case you haven't noticed. He's in a horrific slump. If he's had one winning day the past 2.5 weeks, that may be it. Maybe 2 winning days. I mean, it's been a bad slump. But he has been a consistent winner in the NFL, especially since his debut here before the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And, of course, prior to the past 2 weeks, the previous year, he's just been dynamite. Scott Delaney's been a pretty consistent football handicapper. Hell, I've been a consistent football handicapper. I've won 9 of the past 12 seasons, college and pro combined. So that's to answer the questions you always send in the customer service. Let me get to your free selections now. First game I'm going to go with is going to be the Green Bay Packers minus the 7 to 7.5 at home against the New York Jets. So the Jets were able to barely get by the Oakland Raiders and a rookie Derek Carr last week at home, right? So now they're going to stop Aaron Rodgers and the Packers team, who have Eddie Lacy back in the lineup after suffering that concussion against the Seahawks in an opening loss. A Packers team that have a couple of extra days to prepare, a Packers team that's playing at Lambeau. And do you realize in games that Aaron Rodgers started and finished last year, 3-0 against the spread last year as a home chalk. Geno Smith on the road last year, 5 touchdown passes, 13 interceptions. I think the Packers pass rush is a little better than the Raiders pass rush. I say with sarcasm dripping, okay? This is a guy, Geno Smith, who was sacked 28 times in the final 7 road games a year ago. Jets aren't that significantly better on the offensive line. I think that extra payoff prep time will absolutely pay off here, and I love the Green Bay Packers today. One of the strongest plays. I came real close to using them, in fact, myself. I'm looking at the game between Buffalo and Miami. This could be a trap. I'm just going to put it out there. It could be a trap. It's a pick'em game. Listen, the Bills last week didn't really play that well at Chicago. I mean, 3 Chicago turnovers. Thank you, Jay Cutler. Thank you, Jay Cutler. That produced 13 of their points. They only had 2 drives over 40 yards. But you know what? It's okay to be lucky. And it's okay when you get the wins, especially when you open the season with a road win, okay? Now, you look at this Miami team. A Miami team with a reshuffled offensive line. They took care of business, especially with Noshan Moreno running the ball last week, 134 yards, almost 6.5 yards a carry, and rallying from an early deficit to just absolutely take the New England Patriots and Tom Brady out to the woodshed. But listen, Patriots didn't put any type of pass rush on Ryan Tannehill, okay? And the Patriots couldn't stop the run. Now, the Bills, on the other hand, I think they actually have a pretty good defense. And the Bills, I believe, will be able to run on this Miami defense. It's especially weak at the linebacker position, okay? You had a Bills team get 193 rushing yards last week at Chicago. Now, granted, the Bears can't stop the run. But when you run for 193 yards on the road, I don't care who you are. That's impressive. And I don't care who you're playing. That's an impressive number. And E.J. Manuel, not as good, but certainly more mobile than Tom Brady. So I'm going to go with the Bills, who, of course, last year in a 19-0 home win as a 2-point underdog had 7 sacks of Miami. Again, Dolphins with offensive line problems, as we all know. Bills on a 7-2 ATS run at home. I think that coming off the road win to open the season, coming off the potential to have a new ownership group that's guaranteed to keep Ralph Wilson's franchise in Buffalo after it probably will get approved at the league meetings a month from now. I think that this is a good spot to take Buffalo against a Miami team that really doesn't have much of a pass rush either. Your other free selection is also on the early card. I'm looking at Tennessee minus the 3.5. Now, Tennessee goes to Kansas City last week and absolutely dominates. I mean, just dominates. Tony Romo at home last week, he looked like a guy who was rusty coming off back surgery. 3 interceptions as he continually forced the ball against San Francisco. Now, the 49ers couldn't stop DeMarco Murray, had over 120 yards rushing last week. But listen, the 49ers were injury-riddled on defense. I think Tennessee is a much better defensive team. They're playing at home. Titans held Kansas City to just 245 yards at Arrowhead Stadium, okay? Held them to 1 for 12 on third down conversions. They had 4 sacks. They had 6 tackles for loss, 5 hurries, and 3 interceptions in the game. Gee, well, that maybe is what happened when you have a new defensive coordinator that's actually a good defensive coordinator in Ray Horton, who, of course, at one time molded Arizona into a pretty damn good defense a few years back. So I'm going to go with Tennessee minus 3.5 points. Again, the line's 3.5, so I would go down and buy that half-point down as insurance on the Titans. So Tennessee is going to be one free pick, the Green Bay Packers another, and in the potential trap game, I'm going to get sucked into this one and go with the Buffalo Bills at Pick'em. That'll do it, guys. Best of luck to you all, and I will catch you again on Monday when we do this one more time with that little game, which is a damn tough game, I got to tell you. I've already looked at this game 100 times over. Damn tough game on the Eagles and the Colts, but we'll talk about that on Monday, and I'll catch you then.